Welcome to Life Crisis Today. A Spanish translation will immediately follow the program.
Bienvenidos a Life Crisis hoy. Una traducción en español saldrá al final del programa. Conmigo, su presentadora, Lisa Garcia.
Welcome to Life Crisis Center today. My name is Michele Hughes, and I'm the Executive Director of the Life Crisis Center. With me today is Abby Marsh, the Director of Legal Services at Life Crisis. And today we're going to be discussing new laws which went into effect on October 1 of this year that affect the victims of crime that we serve. First, Abby, can you tell us about Aaron's Law?
Certainly, Michelle. Aaron's Law is a law that has actually been promoted nationally. It's named after Aaron Marin, who is the person who advocated it throughout the country and led the effort nationwide. It mandates age-appropriate sexual assault and abuse awareness and prevention work in elementary and secondary schools. So as a result of this law, we should see classrooms beginning to teach age-appropriate information about sexual child abuse.
One of the things I think that is a part of the law actually is that there be an easy way for people to report child sexual abuse. And it's my understanding that across Maryland there is some discussion that there will be a bill this year in the legislature to mandate one single number across the state where people who are not mandated reporters will be able to call and report what they think perhaps might be child abuse. And I think that one of the things that we need to take away from this is that when you call Child Protective Services to report child abuse, you are not accusing someone. What you basically are saying is, I'm unsure whether this is child abuse or not. And it is the job of the Department of Social Services to make that decision, not yours. And I think that's something that people need to understand, is that it's the right thing to do when you're unsure as to whether a child is being abused. Would you agree with that?
Certainly, and we are certainly hopeful that a law which makes it easier for people to report child abuse and child sexual abuse will happen. Aaron's Law was a big step in assisting people to understand how to prevent child abuse and child sexual abuse specifically.
And I think in a community like ours, where the rate of child sex abuse is much higher than the statewide rate, that making it easier for people to report is a very good thing.
Absolutely.
So what else are we looking at? Certainly that should make it easier to help victims, but are there other child abuse laws that are new this year?
There were several new child sexual abuse laws, Michelle. One of them was the failure to report child abuse by licensed professionals. So the bill that was passed became law October 1st, required multidisciplinary teams who were investigating child abuse to actually inform professional licensing boards when a professional failed to report child abuse. So for instance, if a doctor has observed signs of sexual child abuse when examining a patient but fails to report that, when the multidisciplinary board discovers that, they would then report that to the appropriate licensing professional board.
So this would be, for instance, if the Child Advocacy Center is doing an investigation and discovers that a child has been abused and that the physician recognized the signs and failed to report, then they would have to make a report to the licensing board.
Exactly.
Okay.
Additionally, there was one other child sexual abuse statute that passed, and that involved requiring local departments of social services to retain records of reports of child abuse and neglect, including child sexual abuse, for 5 years, even if the report was initially unsubstantiated or ruled out. And again, you can see the logic in that, hopefully, that we want to see a pattern of abuse, and so even if something previously was unsubstantiated or ruled out, if another report comes in involving the same child or the same allegations against an individual, those records would still be available.
I know we recently had a case of a young child who was sexually abused, and they could not, while the child indicated who had abused her, they could not get any DNA. And while they couldn't substantiate that this was the person who had done this to her, they were concerned enough to remove her from his care. So this is the kind of thing that if it were to happen to another child in his care, they would be able to go back and see that while this was unsubstantiated, it in fact is the same person.
And that there potentially is a pattern of abusive behavior there. Yes, exactly.
Well, that certainly can go a long way to protecting children.
I certainly hope so.
Are there any other child abuse statutes that you think are of interest?
Well, I think in terms of child abuse statutes, that was the major accomplishments by the legislature this year. And we had some other major accomplishments, however, in the area of domestic violence and assault, and one of them was the stalking law. The 2016 law that took effect October 1st added emotional distress to the language. So currently, prior to October 1st, 2016, stalking was defined as a malicious course of conduct that included approaching or pursuing another where the person intended to place or knew or reasonably should know that the conduct would place another in reasonable fear of serious bodily injury. And that included rape in any degree, assault in any degree, as well as false imprisonment or death. But what it failed to take into consideration was the fact that while someone might not specifically fear an act, you have put them in serious emotional distress by your behavior, stalking behavior. And so the new language actually added that, intends to cause or knows or reasonably should have known that the conduct would cause serious emotional distress to another. Special report issued by the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Statistics, has identified 7 stalking behaviors that would cause a reasonable person to feel fear. Those behaviors included making unwanted phone calls, sending unsolicited or unwanted letters, emails, messages, or texts, following or spying on the victim, showing up at places without a legitimate reason, waiting at places for the victim, leaving unwanted items, presents, or flowers, or posting information or spreading rumors about the victim on the internet in a public place or by word of mouth. And you can see what a major stride this was in the law to make this a part of stalking behavior, because frequently these are the kinds of things that happen that may seem innocuous to someone who is not being stalked, but to a person who feels fear because they're being stalked by another. When you receive a gift or roses, it has special meaning that would not otherwise.
You know, we've had a number of cases, as you know, where we've had 50, 75, 100 texts sent within a 24-hour period. And the law, of course, had not kept up with these electronic changes in our lives. And so when someone sends you 125 texts, we recognize that as human beings as stalking behavior. But there was nothing in the law that would provide for that until this time.
That's correct. This was a major accomplishment. Up until October 1st, you rarely saw stalking charged as a criminal act because it was so difficult to prove. This has really opened the door for many, many people who have been experiencing distressing stalking behavior to be able to do something about it.
Excellent. Can you tell us something about the changes in the peace and protective orders?
This year, the only change was to peace orders, and it actually added some methods in which a person could obtain a peace order. Now, a protective order covers those intimate partner relationships or those family relationships. A peace order is a relationship that doesn't rise to that level of intimate partner. So what they added to the peace order law was several new offenses that would enable someone to be able to get a peace order if the conduct was occurring to them, and included misuse of telephone facilities and equipment, misuse of electronic communication or interactive computer service, that same kind of texting and what we just discussed as far as stalking behavior, although this may not have to rise to the level of stalking to still enable you to get a peace order, as well as revenge porn and visual surveillance. And unfortunately, revenge porn has become something that people, because of the internet and social media and people's accessibility to it, it is a terribly distressing thing that can happen to an individual. And they have added that to the peace order law so that if someone is acting in a manner against you, which is rises to the level of visual surveillance or revenge porn, you can get a peace order.
And we have seen some pretty horrific stories about revenge porn. And as we tell people all the time, the internet is forever.
Unfortunately, this is true.
And so these things don't go away. Even so, if we can make it illegal and we can stop some of it, that's a good thing.
Agreed.
Well, thank you so much for talking about these new laws, and hopefully these will be able to help us to protect victims of domestic violence and child abuse and child sexual abuse and sexual assault. One of the other new things that we have going on at Life Crisis this year is Giving Tuesday.
So Giving Tuesday, many of you may not have heard of, but we have Black Friday, we have Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday. And should you have anything left in your pocketbook, after those days have all occurred, on November 29th, we have Giving Tuesday. And Giving Tuesday is a national campaign. It's an effort to have people really remember the reason for the season and to give charitably during the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, and to encourage people to give rather than receive.
I understand that the Community Foundation has taken the lead on the shore with this.
That's correct. They have wonderfully been the umbrella for, and in fact it's called the Shore Gives More this year, the campaign. So it's www.shoregivesmore.org, and you can visit their website or our website to learn more about Giving Tuesday. But the wonderful thing about the Community Foundation taking this on is that they have approximately 60 charities that are participating. And it's a one-stop shop for charitable giving. So if you are tired of trying to find that perfect gift for someone who doesn't need anything, or you're trying to teach your children the real meaning of the season and you want to give them an opportunity to go and find a charity that speaks to them or just help them learn more about charitable giving, you can go on to www.shoregivesmore.org on November 29th, and it's a one-stop shop. So they're able to scroll through and see all of the different charities that are participating, and they're able to give to as many charities as they see fit at one time. Of course, you can give to the Life Crisis Center at any time, but Giving Tuesday is a national campaign that is one day, just like Black Friday. So it goes from midnight to midnight. So if you want to participate in the Shore Gives More campaign, that would be the day that you have to do it. It has to be Tuesday, November 29th. Again, the website for that was www.shoregivesmore.org. Or again, you can visit the Life Crisis Center and give to us directly at any time, www.lifecrisiscenter.org. So there's one checkout procedure. You don't have to go in and out to try to give to different charities that speak to your heart or that your child or whoever may choose as far as charitable giving is concerned. So it's fabulous. The Hershey Fund, which is part of the Community Foundation, is covering all the fees. So there aren't going to be fees either attributed to the charity that you choose or to your pocketbook. Every dollar is going to go to the actual charity that you designate. Additionally, the really wonderful thing about the Shore Gives More campaign is that you are giving locally. So all of the charities that are listed, your dollars, what you want to do in terms of charitable giving is coming right here to our community and assisting people who are in need right here in our community. And of course, when you give to the Life Crisis Center, you are giving the gift of hope. You're giving the gift of hope to women, children, and families right here locally.
Well, it sounds very exciting. Of course, Life Crisis Center also has a website, and you can go to our website, which is www.lifecrisiscenter.org, and make your gift directly to the Life Crisis Center. Thank you so much, Abby, for talking to us today about the new laws that went into effect on October 1, and also about Giving Tuesday. These are two very important things. As you know, the Life Crisis Center is a full-service crisis resource for people who live on the shore, and we can be reached either by calling 410-749-HELP or 749-4357, or simply by calling 211 from anywhere on the shore. Thank you so much for being with us today, and please have a wonderful holiday and a healthy and prosperous new year.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC 14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC 14 is a great way to connect with your community.